Smile, boys. You're on candid camera.
Man, you gotta not think about the things out of your control. Think about your plan.
Personally, I can't stop thinking about all that money.
Bird warning.
Okay, just keep walking.
That's right.
Just keep walking.
Yeah, that's it, kid, that's it.
Second warning. Third warning.
It takes heavy sack to sign up for this contest.
The Long Walk. Finally a new review. Sorry, it's been so long, but I had a really fun time interviewing the creature actor and writer-director Alan Maxson. So check out that video if you haven't already. It was a ton of fun and could definitely use more views. But yes, I finally got back to the theaters, guys, and I decided to check out this film that is admittedly flying somewhat under the radar despite an interesting advertisement campaign where you could watch it if you were walking on a treadmill. They didn't do that for me. I just sat down and watched it, but still, I've heard some mixed reviews around this movie, and some people were saying that it was amazing. Others were saying it was good, not great, and didn't last very long in their minds. Others said it was just kind of okay. So I was curious where I'd fit my hat in that ring. Would I think it was just okay? Would I think it was really good? And to be completely honest with you guys, this was a rough one for me. Not because it was bad or anything, but I struggle with a lot of PTSD with certain subjects, and this film triggered quite a bit of that to the point where I was asked if I wanted to leave about halfway through. I ultimately stuck around and finished the film, but it did bother me somewhat for the rest of the day. I don't think that will be the case for most of you guys who watch this movie, but I'd like to include my experience as a disclaimer that may affect my final review score. Although I will try to remain impartial and judge the film on its merits, I will also say that it is important to listen to your body and your emotions. I was told a movie isn't worth a panic attack, and I wholeheartedly agree. It is a film meant to be enjoyed. Do not sacrifice your emotional well-being for that. And yes, I'm fine. Okay. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into the movie. So, what is The Long Walk even about? And is it really that upsetting or that good? Or maybe the hype is overblown and it's just an alright thriller think piece? What is it? The Long Walk is based on one of Stephen King's earlier novels from 1979 before he went full horror. It is a psychological thriller about America and life itself, about human interactions and friendship and death. The Long Walk takes place in an alternate version of the USA where the economy has collapsed and most people are extremely poor. In order to build hope and quote-unquote work ethic, as the film puts it, the government sponsored a televised contest called The Long Walk, where every state would choose a young man through a voluntary lottery to participate. Gotta stress the voluntary part of that. The rules are simple: start at the same time, bring one personal item, and walk at a constant pace. If someone ever slows down, stops, leaves the road, or exceeds a limit of warnings, they are shot and removed from the game until only one man is left, with the winner achieving financial freedom and a single wish, which apparently can be anything. They said some dude at one point wished for an elephant and got it, so okay. This film follows a young man named Ray Garrity who has joined the walk for personal reasons unknown, and his trek in the walk, the friends he makes and loses on the road forward to the end. If this sounds kind of familiar, like any other dystopian let's make a game show around killing each other, then you'd be very correct. It is also very, very funny that the director, Francis Lawrence, was also the director for pretty much every single Hunger Games sequel, including the new ones that are upcoming. That's very funny. I think what causes The Long Walk to stand out from films like The Hunger Games is that although it is a competition, it isn't focused on self-survival. like Maze Runner or whatever the next teen dystopia movie is. The Long Walk is purely focused on camaraderie and endurance. Nobody really tries to fuck anyone else over intentionally, and the disdain the characters feel are very much for the military in charge of the event, especially a character called the Major who seems to run everything for some reason. It's just boys walking down a road, chatting to each other, and eventually getting tired and getting offed in very violent means. Now, the gun violence, when shown, is extreme. It is graphic and ugly, and usually has characters screaming in agony or fear right before it goes off, so be forewarned if that triggers you. Overall, I think the film is extremely solid. It does lack in some places, and the messaging is extremely heavy-handed and obvious, even up to the ending scene. If I have to start on some positives, I'd say that this film is written extremely well. For the main characters, anyway. This movie is a walking simulator. Once it starts, it does not stop outside of maybe 1 or 2 quick flashback scenes for context. As the miles tick on by, the characters get increasingly bedraggled and grimy, injuries abound, chronic IBS abounds as well, which is very interesting that happens, but they have to explain it at some point. And through it all, we have an extremely likable group of characters talking and joking with each other. The movie has some good moments of levity there that are very much needed to balance out the otherwise constant depressing atmosphere. And it is depressing because, I mean, when you think about it, it's essentially a death march. Everyone's just walking until they die. And you know pretty much everyone in this movie is going to die at some point. I will give props as well for the acting. I think this film is incredibly well acted, especially from our lead boy Ray Garrity, played by Cooper Hoffman, who is Philip Seymour Hoffman's kid. I didn't know he had a kid. Jeez, okay. That's cool. He has some great reactions and is a really fun character overall to follow as the main boy. I do think there are some poor plot choices for him that I will get into a little bit later, but overall his performance is really great. He's a smart character, funny when he needs to be, very much wanting to help out whoever he sees, and the chemistry with the other walkers is phenomenal. And that includes the true star of this film, I think, David Johnson, as Peter McVries, which is a very classic Stephen King kind of name. Peter McVries. It sounds like Stand By Me. Like, come on. McVries is every bit passionate, humorous, and cathartic. He's a grounded character for the audience to latch onto and like if Ray fails his mission, and Johnson nails that archetype. He's so upbeat even in dire circumstances, and his immediate rapport with Ray is just so much fun to watch. It translates really, really well on screen. He's smart and warm and eager to help, even though he says he isn't. This is Johnson's standout performance, and I thought he did a great job in Alien Romulus as the robot Andy, but here he just leaps off the screen with his charisma. It's some really damn good work. Now, those are really the only 2 actors that I wanted to point out here. There are plenty of support characters that are also important to the story for one reason or another, but those 2 are the true standouts. I do also want to mention Mark Hamill as the Major, and I'm sorry, I thought this character was awful. Hamill's a great actor, that goes without saying, but this character is written so poorly. He's got an interesting background and a very mysterious history that I want to know more about, but his importance to the walk just is never really explained. He has certain relations with several different characters as well, but they never go anywhere. It just kind of happens and characters tell us about it, and that's it. And his lines, oh god, his lines are awful. They are so on the nose and derivative, I could barely stand it. Every time he opened his mouth was horrible. Luckily, he only shows up in a few scenes and has like, I don't know, maybe 10 lines. But I feel like having Mark Hamill as him needed a better writer or something. It was so bad. Of course, though, that also leans into the film not being perfect. There are plenty of general issues throughout the movie that drag down the overall score for me. I will say that if you go into this movie expecting a thriller or an action film, you're definitely going to be disappointed and bored. I know it advertises itself as a thriller, but this is a slow burn film chock full of almost absolutely nothing but dialogue and shocking death scenes here and there. You need to go in knowing that or you will be bored to tears. It's characters talking the entire movie. It's just dialogue. That's all it is. Thankfully, the pacing of the movie is fine. It doesn't feel like a slog, and the film wraps up very nicely in under 2 hours. The main thing I think that drags it down for me is really just how heavy-handed the symbolism and the metaphors are. There's a lot of on-screen irony, like the characters walking past a billboard that advertises relaxing on a train. Ooh, or how every place they walk by has a scene of at least some kind of classic Americana family watching them silently. Think like American Gothic, but with some stone-faced children, I don't know. Or even when America the Beautiful is sung over a tragic scene, it is so painfully obvious. I just wish it was a little more subtle. And that's not to say the film isn't subtle in some moments. There are good moments that are underplayed, like how the walk is meant to symbolize life itself. It includes an uphill scene with characters struggling and battling a literal uphill battle to persevere. That's really clever. I like that a lot. It only happens once though. Other bits I feel are just really bad story writing. For example, some characters will just straight up say why they joined the walk at some point in the film, but none of them outside of Ray are ever really expanded on, which feels ridiculous. One of the walkers talks about a very close relationship with the Major, for example. Another issue that has me confused is that the walk itself is voluntary. There is a back out date the characters mention that they could have taken outside of specific reason for some specific characters to join the walk. Others make absolutely no sense for this reason. The walk is a well-known, almost guaranteed death sentence, and it really doesn't make sense for several of these characters to join it with their stated intentions. One, for example, wants to write a book about the walk as a participant. What? Is it supposed to hint that these particular people are just overconfident or that they don't understand what the walk is? Everyone seems to know what it is, so what's going on here? It's not a surprise when the guns come out. Another character treats the walk like a punishment, as if he was forced to be there, as if it's a death row march, but no, none of them were forced. That the story tells us anyway. It feels really weird to put emphasis on how the walk is a voluntary thing, but then have characters who clearly never should have participated lining up anyway. At least explore why they're there, or just make it involuntary once chosen. You could have the lottery be voluntary and then involuntary if your name's picked. Why is that so difficult? Maybe that'd make it a little too similar to Hunger Games, I guess, but I don't know. That's a weird issue here. It really detracts from the movie for me, thinking back on it. I will say that the overall outcome of the story is pretty predictable as well. There aren't really many surprises at all. Those you think will be the final group are definitely the final group. The ending is narratively sound, but you could see it coming halfway through the film. It isn't terrible, but some effort to switch things up or to change expectations would have been nice. Like maybe instead of just Ray as our main character, we follow several characters getting dropped off at the start. And then throughout the start of the walk, we only switch focus when they inevitably lose their ticket. Maybe that could have kept the film a bit more fresh, but I don't know, I feel like it would have been longer because we would have had to explore all these other side characters a bit more thoroughly. Overall though, I still think this is an extremely solid film with some great artistic choices thrown in that pervade throughout the movie. I can't really go into specifics because of spoilers, but if you know cinematography, I'm sure you'll see it as well. I think the only thing I could do to make the movie better is to rewrite some of the side dialogue and expand some plot details, especially from the major, and tone down some of the more obvious symbols and metaphors. The audience gets it. We're not stupid. Be a little more subtle. You don't need to spell it out so ham-fistedly. Maybe include some flashbacks too. Maybe a character smuggled in a picture and can talk about that or something. I don't know. There are ways to input more story here without bloating the length. However, I do think the film is pretty damn good, all things considered. The chemistry is great, the characters are fun and memorable, and the walk itself is brutal and long and feels like it obviously shouldn't exist in this world at all, which I believe is the point. I do wish the world was explored a little bit more as well, like at all. We get barely anything, if that, but still. Ugh. Overall, though, I think you could do a lot worse here. This is a good film, all things considered, that really takes the dystopia game show idea and spins it on its head with a different, slower reaction. Go in knowing that it's a slow burn, and I think you'll be just fine. So take that for what it's worth. So ultimately, The Long Walk gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. It's funny, I actually reviewed a movie called The Long Walk years ago, which is a completely different story. It's a ghost story, and it's from a complete different country. So check out that review too. It's also a slow burn psychological thriller, so that's fun. Yeah, I'm back to reviews. Sorry, I took a little detour there to go interview this guy. Oh my god. Alan Maxon is such a cool dude. I was able to just talk to him for a little bit off recording, and he's just so nice. Such a great dude. I hope we stay in contact. I think he's a cool friend to have. But anyway, yes, Long Walk. Yeah, I was freaking out several times in this movie, which I admittedly shouldn't have done. I probably should have taken that offer and left about halfway through because I was not comfortable. I was not having a good time, and it very much affected me throughout the rest of the day, but I'm okay. I will say, for anyone else going through it, don't hurt yourself like that. Don't do what I did. That was a bad idea on my part. I should not have done that. I should have taken that out. But hey, it's okay. We all have different limits, and I'm okay. So, I don't know, what did you guys think about this movie? Do you like Ray and McReeves? I think they're a fun couple of characters, and it seems that Hoffman and Johnson are going to reunite for another movie, so that'll be cool. I think they just have really good chemistry in general, so that'll be fun. I don't know, I'll probably check out whatever the name of that movie is, but we'll see, that's in the future. Anyway, I'm back. I'm tired. I'm working through it. Let me know what you guys thought about this movie in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video. Go watch my Alan Maxon interview. It's really interesting. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo. The fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song I know. And I'm just a ghost in your stereo.